Welcome to Goalies of Friendship Unit. My name's Chris. I'm here with Jeremy.
Yo, what's up?
And Jake.
Hey guys.
And we got it, guys. We got Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. It's confirmed. It's the sequel. It's in development. There's a trailer. It's awesome. It's beautiful. We're gonna talk all about it. We're gonna talk about our thoughts on it, what we want from it, our opinions on it. But real quick, we are doing a giveaway at 600 subscribers. You guys are already a quarter of the way there since we announced it. We are going to be giving away a hat in time. We would greatly appreciate your support. Also, throwing us a like helps a lot. And let us know down in the comments what you think about the Zelda trailer. With all that out of the way, guys, there's a... what's all this? There's a new Zelda trailer.
What's all this?
What is all this? Is too fucking much.
This is too much, man.
Oh my god.
Oh.
I think you guys are making
Chris,
fun of my reaction.
Tell us what you think, because you're definitely the biggest Zelda fan, and me and Jeremy both played Breath of the Wild.
We did.
I know you are the Zelda fanboy of the group, so hit us up.
Okay.
He's got the official art book, folks.
I just remembered we should probably get Jeremy's girlfriend on this. That's my mistake. I missed this. She's a Zelda fan with me.
I got her feedback.
Oh,
so
good.
I can share that when we get
So
there.
we can share it. Two, I once described playing Breath of the Wild as a quote religious experience. I believe on this channel. So
You did.
Yeah. So
I was
I'm
like one of our first.
Here's the thing, guys. The Zelda is one of those games that comes once every like 5 years, and that's basically how it is. Like, there's nothing you can really do about it. You can hope and dream all you want, but it's not gonna happen. It's gonna come once every like a main game, once in a blue moon. We had Majora's Mask, and that I was too young to appreciate how special that was. And this is it. This is the Majora's Mask. Here we go. Asset flip. Let's do it. Let's fucking go. That's where I'm at. Like, this is beautiful.
I do have to say, I am very pro asset flip. Like on a game like Zelda, where it had such a strong reaction. Why not? If it's fairly easy to churn out another story, but you can still invest it with quality, like they did with Majora's Mask, I think that's a great thing. Keep the content coming to the fans. I think Nintendo should do that more.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what it was about the Zelda world, but it felt like unique and new, despite just being kind of a regular old cel-shaded world. It felt different and new enough that really stuck with me. So I'm glad to see that we're going back to that world, because it was pretty dope.
Yeah, this is, here's the thing. This was, like, to my knowledge at least, and I follow this shit pretty hard, this wasn't leaked. This was, like, really just, like, and nobody was, like, predicting this. This was very, this was like this was like a Hail Mary, like, yeah, we'll see the next Zelda. And the fact that it's an asset flip just gives you kind of hope that it will have a reasonable turnaround. I was telling Jeremy earlier today, I bet it's a 2020 game. I think we can discuss that if we want.
I'm surprised we're going to see another Zelda game so quickly. I mean, in one of our previous videos months ago, you were talking about the general cycle of Zelda games is like a Hyrule game, and then a non-Hyrule game, and then a Hyrule game. So we're technically still following this because...
that castle did lift up.
Right, and yeah, I'm just surprised that we're getting this, and then I'm blanking on the other Zelda game announced.
Link's Awakening.
And then another Zelda, Breath of the Wild 2.
And Cadence of Hyrule, technically.
Yeah, but that's like not really developed by Nintendo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just before we go, I do want to talk about two things before we get a little deeper. One, do we think this is coming out in 2020? Because I do. And two, do we think we're going to maybe see a Mario Odyssey 2 asset flip? Because I think that's a very real possibility. I'm just going to say I think 2020, because I think they obviously said Prime 4 had to reset development. I think that was something that they were hoping might come in 2020, and I think this might now kind of be taking that in for the next big, for like the big holiday 2020 game. And I do think that this will be an upgrade from Breath of the Wild, because this didn't come out on the Wii U, unlike Breath of the Wild, so it'll kind of be like taking more advantage of things. And I think that we'll almost definitely see a Mario Odyssey 2, kind of like how we saw Galaxy 2 on the Wii era, that just did an asset flip, just because these games are just so damn successful.
I agree with pretty much all that. When you originally said, when we were texting earlier, and you said you thought 2020, I was like, I don't know, that seems, really soon. But after watching the trailer, I mean, I'm not a game designer, whatever, but like that trailer seemed really far along. Like this is not a game that they're just setting out on in production. Like it seems pretty well underway. So I think 2020 is a pretty reasonable expectation. And I agree. I think if you're doing an asset flip for Zelda, why not also do it for Mario, where you're like guaranteed a return on it, which I think is great because I fucking love Mario Odyssey. So.
Yeah, the thing about Mario Odyssey is it's not the environment that makes it so great. It's the gameplay and everything that they put into it.
True.
But I don't know. It seems like when Breath of the Wild original got announced, it was years before we finally saw it, right?
Oh,
yeah.
It was stupid long. I don't want
Yeah,
I don't want to remember it. This is why I'm so happy.
So I don't know. I mean, they could just drop this and then stay silent, which I hope they don't do that, but it would be in character.
Well, that's the joy of the asset flip, though. Like this is like all we've seen. I mean, we haven't seen this exactly, but like we've seen these character models. Like, yeah, Zelda has a haircut, but like we've seen this art style and these renderings before. It's all done, assuming they use the same base like physics engine and stuff. And yeah, they make tweaks to it, but like the framework is there. They just have to kind of build a new product around it.
You're just throwing a new coat of paint on it.
And yeah, I know things are different since the N64 era, but the distance in time between Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask was 18 months. By assuming holiday 2020 for this, which is just my random assumption, that will have been about 3.5 years from the launch of Breath of the Wild. So, decent amount of time.
That's true. That's a solid amount of time. But that also made me think, as you were saying, like, if they're just flipping assets here and they're keeping the core physics...
Flip them.
I mean, it's not like Breath of the Wild was driven by the story by any means. Like, it was the unique physics and the game world, so... I mean, I'm hoping they're not moving, like, a couple trees and a mountain here and there, but I wonder how much it will show that they're just reusing a game world.
Well,
Chris...
Yeah, go ahead.
New Vegas was an asset flip of Fallout 3, right?
Yes.
And like those games look really different. Like I think that I agree with you, Jake. Like Zelda, Breath of the Wild was not like, narratively driven, but I think that they'll be able to present something that still looks fresh and visually interesting. I hope, because I agree. If it's supposed to be just like do this again, I think that would actually be pretty poorly received.
Yeah,
but Majora's Mask was also really different from.
Right, but that had a story.
True, but the gameplay was also really different.
Right, so it's been 3 years, so I mean, I don't know how long it takes to build a game, but that's definitely enough time to make a second unique world. But I kind of wonder what else they're going to put in, because, we've done the gameplay already. Majora's Mask and Ocarina are extremely different gameplay-wise.
Like, the combat is similar, but then you have the whole added element of the
masks.
fucking masks.
Yeah, so I wonder what they'll bring in. And will it feel? I don't know.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I do want to talk about like what I mean. As much of a religious experience Breath of the Wild is, it does have flaws. I do want to talk about two key things. Like one, do we think we're going back to Hyrule, or a warped like dark version of Hyrule, or are we going somewhere entirely new? And two, what do we want or need to see from this game that will kind of elevate it from Breath of the Wild, assuming a lot of similarities will persist, like assuming it's going to be, kind of, it's going to be a sequel to Breath of the Wild. It's not a new Zelda. It is a new Zelda, but it's a sequel. You know what I mean? So
I think we'll be in the same world, definitely.
you think we'll be in Hyrule?
Yeah, I mean, just from the look of the end of the trailer, that looks extremely familiar. And if it's a sequel, I've got to assume it's going to be in the same world.
But the
same
castle
Hyrule.
takes off.
Okay, maybe
all- I
aliens
mean-
showed up. I don't know.
No, like I don't know. It did do it, like moved.
Right, it did. But I don't see any reason it couldn't be Hyrule.
That
I'm
said,
not
when
the-
you start getting specific, the background actually does. It looks. Now I'm kind of with you, Jake. Like the background, it looked very familiar, but like it didn't have the same terrain as there necessarily would be around Hyrule Castle.
Right.
So if it is supposed to be Hyrule Castle, then like I don't know.
Do you think it's elsewhere, Chris?
Well, I think it's gonna start. Okay, two things. One, as the Hyrule not Hyrule question, I made a video about this. Like it's very atypical for Zelda to spend 2 sequential games in Hyrule for you know, the sole reason that one, the setting gets old, and 2, it they have to rebuild the world essentially every time because they don't usually do asset flips. I think this could be a drastically warped version of Hyrule. Like they could use the same overlay of the map and like really totally change it, like a la Dark World kind of thing. Or I think it's going to go somewhere else in a more confined world, but using the same assets, you know, like building a new world just with the same assets. And the only thing I'd really want to see different is adding proper dungeons and mixing up the shrines, like how they do that. I think there's lots of ways that they could do the shrines better.
Zelda in space.
That somebody said that in an analysis I watched, and I was like, yeah, it could. I mean, the
Prop-
castle moves.
Yeah, I would agree with the dungeons. I would love to see some classic dungeons. I mean, the beasts
a
were
story.
good.
That would be nice too. A story.
Yeah. Oh, voice acting, that too. That would be good.
Sadly, I think we will continue to have voice acting.
And because it's a sequel, I was telling Jeremy it's probably the same Zelda.
Oh, Link. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm hung up on like the castle taking off. I don't know, man. But the mountain in the background, that's not in the original game. Like I can excuse some like subtle differences to the map, but there's definitely some big ones just from the end of this trailer. But also similarities. Like there's a lot of ruins in the foreground, so
I think that particular shot is from Hyrule. I'm almost sure of it. I think I know where on the map that was. I'll go in Breath of the Wild later and see if I can recreate it.
So you're saying there's a canon reason for the scenery the way it is.
Yeah, I also think
Nintendo didn't mess up.
I think this is the intro to the game. Just
I agree with that.
oh yeah.
yeah, which I also think it's gonna be a macabre game. Like it's gonna be sadder, kind of like Majora's Mask was.
I agree with that as
Yeah.
well.
So you mentioned that you think it's going to be a more confined world, which I think with what Breath of the Wild has to offer would be a big mistake. I mean, it thrived in the open world gameplay, and if you kind of put it in a more confined, more like action-packed world, I don't think it would go over as well.
I think the challenge would be to use the different game mechanics and like the physics engine in a way that challenged how you used them in the first game. Do you see what I'm saying? Like in the first game, a lot of the mechanics were built around climbing and soaring and all those sorts of things. But like, would it be possible if you were doing something in a smaller space to use the mechanics like with stopping, almost more like you saw in the Divine Beasts, where you had to like reorient the Divine Beast, you had to play with the water, the way the water froze or didn't freeze. You had to play with stopping things at particular times. Like, I think it could be interesting if it pushed the developers and pushed the player to like do unusual things in a different way than the first game did, as opposed to having similar gameplay, just similar mechanics.
Yeah,
but like that would be really hard.
I mean, I definitely see that. The Divine Beasts were not my favorite.
I agree with that too.
I liked them in the small bursts that they were. Like that was enough for me. If it was a whole game world, like I'm kind of getting flashbacks of the Dead Space game world kind of thing. I don't know why, but very confined, rather puzzle heavy. I mean, I guess it wasn't that puzzle heavy. I don't know. I think if it was a whole like confined game world of puzzle things, I would get bored. I don't think they would go that direction.
No, not fully that direction. No, I was just trying to like, would it be possible to bring some of the things you had to do in the Divine Beasts into like the overworld gameplay, as opposed to like in Breath of the Wild, most of what you do in the overworld is just like run, slash, arrows, climb.
Yeah.
You tends to move in very much the same way.
Mm-hmm. And I don't doubt Nintendo's ability to surprise us with some fantastic new game mechanics too, so.
Different Sheikah Slate power-ups. That would be something to see. Different Nintendo Switch power-ups.
Hell yeah.
The ancient Switch.
Hell yeah. The ancient Switch.
The Master Halo Chief lands on Hyrule.
Oof.
We lost everything, Link.
Don't get me going. I think the Divine Beasts, just going off you guys, I think they have I enjoyed them in their own thing. I did not like them as a replacement for dungeons, and I think there's a balance there. I personally think you could revamp shrines and basically just flush them out more. Like, instead of the combat shrine being the same thing every time, make
more variety.
Yeah, more variety. And they did that in the DLC. Like, they had like combat shrines that were more, or they had combat trials, and I think you could just integrate those, and they use different assets while keeping the shrine theme, if you know what I'm saying, to make it work just better. I think that's,
it just gets boring visually to do
exactly,
160 shrines that all look exactly the same.
So I think they could redo shrines, and I think they started to get that because they were fixing that in the DLC, and I think to an extent the game had to get out because it was a launch title for the Switch, and whatever, it was 7 million years in the making. But then I think Divine Beasts can exist in their own entity. Like, I'm fine with doing Divine Beasts, and they are fun to me as long as you also include dungeons. And I think that's kind of like all three can coexist, and that's another one of the beauties of an asset flip. You can take some of this time that you would have spent R&Ding the chemistry engine, or the cooking or whatever, all that stuff that's more or less done, and you can take what works and keep it, like Divine Beasts and 60-70% of the shrines, and then you can build out some new stuff like proper dungeons and things like that. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, I would love to see the more gameplay.
Yeah, one thing I would like to see, like probably my biggest complaint about Breath of the Wild, and I don't know if this is something that's like doable in an asset flip, but probably my number one addition that I would like to see to the game would be more quest variety, because to me, like, it eventually became kind of unrewarding to do quests, because every single time the reward for the quest was the same thing. It kind of felt like you were doing the same Radiant quest in like Skyrim over and over again, and you're like, oh, this is just the same shit. Like, you're gonna give me X gold, and you're gonna give me, like, yeah, it's a renamed sword, but it's the same thing. Except in Zelda, it's not even a renamed sword. It's just like every time you get a shrine, the shrine looks the same. You do the shrine, you get like a generic weapon, which is gonna break really soon, and you move on. So there wasn't a lot of motivation for me to do the things. So I think just a little variety, so there was an element of surprise, would be nice. Like some unique items. I don't know if that's doable again, but that would be cool. Aside from just the Master Sword.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, I'd love to see them revisit the weapon system.
It breaks so fast.
Yeah, it was good, but it definitely was not my
Why
favorite.
can't you fix them?
That's a
Couldn't
good
Fallout
question.
3, dude. Well, what does I want to hear what your girlfriend thinks, Jeremy.
She gave it 2 thumbs up. She is excited about the big creature that Link rides on in the trailer.
He is cute.
She said that
He's like that Avatar thing, a little bit.
Appa?
Just because he's big.
Dude, Link gets a sky bison?
He
That would
has
be
to
tight.
fly, though.
Oh man, they should make an Avatar game. That
don't
game
know
would
that
be
game.
awesome.
Just he has like an elephant.
Yeah, Sarah, my girlfriend said that she thought it looked kind of elephanty, so that would be cool. And actually, I think that would be a cool thing to see in the game. I didn't like doing the quest where you had to ride the deer, but I like the idea of being able to ride more than just the horses. And I did appreciate the diversity of some of the different unique horses they had. So more different, interesting things to ride would be cool. Her guess as to what the game would be more dungeons, like you were saying, Chris. And I think there's a lot of foregrounding of that in the trailer. So I think I would second that, or I guess third it. I think it's a pretty good guess.
Awesome. All right. Do we have any other thoughts? Are we good to wrap?
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right. Well, that's it for our Zelda trailer discussion. Part of our insane, awesome E3 coverage, guys. If you like the video, throw us a like. Oh, we don't have Brian. I'm just remembering we don't have Brian. I'm like, why am I doing this? This is my job.
Sad day.
Yeah, if you like the video, throw us a like. That'd be awesome. Let us know down below what you think of the Zelda trailer. And again, we are doing a giveaway, so be sure to sub if you love. That's all for us. We will catch you guys next time.